Hi, welcome to HipHipBarbaknitStories. This is episode 7, no, 8. I think it's number 8, yeah? Episode 8. My name is Linda. I'm talking to you from Reykjavik, Iceland. You can find me on Instagram as Barbanit. You can email me or find me on Ravelry, and I will put all of my contact info in the text box below. So today I'm gonna talk about the usual things like my whips and finished objects and new stash enhancements and stuff like that. And then I have a pile of old magazines here. These are magazines called Hugur og hönd, mind and hand, that have been published here in Iceland since 1966. I don't have all the issues, but I have some of them, a fair collection, I think, and I put little flag notes on the pages that I wanted to show you guys and talk about a little later. But first I'm gonna go through the regular stuff. My shawl that I'm wearing today is Chamomile by Isager. I didn't use Isager yarn for this. I used hedgehog fibers, and I have these cute little tassels on the ends. It's made out of hedgehog fiber sock and hedgehog fibers lace. Both in the color called pollen, which is probably one of my favorite yellow colors. I'm a huge fan of the shawl. It's like one of my fancier ones that I wear on special occasions. Goes with basically everything that I own. So, and it's a bit chilly here. This week has been horrible when it comes to the weather. It's been fine, clear blue skies, and the sun is out and everything feels normal, and then we get snow blizzards for 10 minutes and then they're gone again, and then it starts raining, and then the sun comes back out, and then it starts hailing, and then the sun comes back out, and then it starts raining again, and it starts snowing again, and it's been, yeah, it's kind of affecting, it has been affecting my mood this week, how awful the weather has been. It's May, seriously. I'm so ready for winter to be over and get some sun, and a slight change in the temperature would be great as well. Excuse me. I don't have any finishes this week. I've been working on 4 different projects this week. The main one being the sample that I'm working on for Stephen for all the ankles. It's going really well. I'm gonna pull it out of my yellow friends bag. I just wound the second skeins because I'm running low on these 2. So it's getting quite big, and now it looks like this. Pretty, really simple, really. It's a fast knit, and I've done, when I talked to you last week, I had almost finished this first section, and now I'm getting close to finishing. I finished section 2, and I'm getting close to finishing section 3 as well. I'm making a bigger version of the original pattern, so I think it's gonna be huge. I'm almost out of the first skein of the lighter color, and I have a fair amount of this one, but I need to do a big section with it as well. So I wound I had 2 skeins of each color, so I wound them this morning because I'm gonna knit all day after I finish this podcast thing. The yarn that I'm using is from HipHipBarbaknitStories. It's their merino single space. The lighter color is Pepita. Yeah, Pepita. And the darker color is called Blizzard, I think. Let me see. Yeah, Blizzard. I really like HipHipBarbaknitStories yarns. The colors and how she dyes her colors, the base is nice, everything is just really nice about it. So I hope that I can finish section 3 today, and I hope that I can finish the entire shawl this week, and that should be totally doable. There's not that much left of it. The other thing that I've been working on a little bit, not a lot, but still a little bit, is the baby cardigan. It's called Gillipesa. It's a pattern by Helen Magnusson. It's a tiny little lopapesa wool sweater. It's not made of wool though. It's made out of, well, it's made out of llama, the tint lamol. I finished the body. The body is done, and I started the first sleeve last night, and I only have like a tiny portion of it done. So cute. So yeah, this goes really fast, and I'm using the Ari Crazy Trio needles. I'm testing them out for the sleeves, and I can't tell yet if I like them or not. I've only done a few rounds, so I'm gonna finish the sleeves using these needles and see if I like them or not. I don't know yet, but so far they're okay. Nothing mind-blowing, but they work fine. So we'll see. And this one is living in my gray fringe bag. Field bag, fringe supply field bag. That's what they're called, right? I've also been working on my sock, and I'm almost up to the toe. Almost. I really love this. So yeah, I don't know if I will manage to finish this one and the other one for next week's episode. We'll see. The shawl is like my focus project, so if I finish that in record time, I might be able to finish these socks as well. We'll see what happens. And then living in this cute eye stare at you bag that Stephen gave me is my Cozy Memories blanket, and I've done a few squares on that as well. I really love it. I remember each and every project that the leftover yarn came from. So I started one here out of chain fibers. It's their BFL base that I used for my Chevron Shenanigan shawl. this color is called Pound. It's 100% superwash BFL from Ching Fibers, high twist BFL, hand dyed in the UK. Very nice. And then in my bag are just like all kinds of leftovers that I pulled out all my leftovers. It didn't really matter what size they were. I just pulled them all out and put them in a big plastic container, and then I pull out at random and fill this one up, and I keep this like on the go. And when I finish making one square of each of the colors, I put them in a separate bin because I want to go through all my leftovers before I, you know, go back around and start adding more squares. And I'm always adding leftovers anyway. Anytime I finish a project, the leftover yarn goes in a container. I have one for DK, and I have another one for worsted weight, and then I have one for fingering weight. So I'm using only fingering weight for my Cozy Memories blanket. So that's going quite well, I think. And I've been doing a square here and there. They're pretty quick. It's like I'm watching something with my husband, and I kind of grab a square, and he's having fun. Like I sometimes make him draw out of the leftover bag, like which color to use next, because I'm doing this completely at random. So he gets to draw the next yarn that I'm using, and my daughter as well. So they are having fun with drawing the yarn. And yeah, like I said, no finished objects this week, but I've been knitting a lot. If I only focused on one piece, I probably would have finished it. Not the blanket, but like if I focused only on the sock, or only on the baby sweater, or only on the shawl, I probably would have finished those. But I've been juggling the projects quite a bit this week. I think it's I usually have quite a few projects going at the same time, but I usually always have like one or two pieces that I focus on more than the other ones. I don't think I've ever had just one project. Maybe when I started knitting, I started a project and I didn't knit on anything else until that project was finished, and then I started another project. But that escalated kind of quickly. Yeah, I don't think it lasted very long, maybe a few months, and then I started adding to my project list. And I mean, there are so many projects out there that you want to make that, yeah, you just, or I at least, just go for it. And my main policy is, if I'm in love with the project and I'm in love with the yarn and I am enjoying what I'm doing, it doesn't really matter how many projects I have on the go. And then sometimes I go over everything that I've started, like I did a few weeks ago. And if the projects have been just lingering for a really long time and I've completely lost interest in them, I frog them and I use the yarn for something else. So yeah, that's usually how it goes. And also I've also started quite a few projects, and like after the first section or two, I've been like, okay, no, I'm not enjoying this. It's not giving me any pleasure or happiness, or, you know, it's just not working, so I just rip it out and do something completely else. So that's usually like what I'm trying to say is it doesn't really scare me to have a lot of projects on my needles at the same time. I'm a really efficient knitter. I usually finish everything that I start, or I frog it and I use the yarn for something else. That's usually the only two. I don't think I've ever thrown a project away or just, no, I've never done that. I always frog everything and reuse the yarn for something that gives me joy, and I know that I'm gonna use or give to somebody, or somebody else will like benefit from my knitting. Sometimes I've done projects for like the Red Cross and premature babies and stuff like that, like blankets and tiny little hats. Yeah, so charity knitting is also something that everyone can do. I do have a little bit of new stash. A little bit, look at the pile. Okay. I'm just gonna reach over and grab these. Okay. Let me see. This is one of my favorite yarns to use. It's called Yaku. It's 100% superwash merino wool. It's amazing for baby stuff. Blankets and cardigans and sweaters and pants and hats and mittens and whatever. It's absolutely great, and you can just throw it in the washing machine and it's fine. This is a new color. It's called dark mustard. I have a design in my head that I need to get out, and I'm gonna make the prototype out of this yarn because it's fingering weight. It knits up really well with speckled and hand-dyed yarn. I've done a few projects where I've used this like as a base, and then I've added hand-dyed yarns to it. It comes in really beautiful colors, and a lot of colors. They have a lot of grays and a lot of blues and a lot of greens. So if I need like a base for something, this is like my go-to yarn. I really like it, and the twist on the yarn is quite similar to most bases that hand dyers are using for their hand dyes. So if you want like a plainer shawl, let's say a shawl, but you still want to have, you know, a bit of a fun with it, this is a great yarn for just like main base colors, and then you can just add almost anything to it. So I got two of these. I'm thinking of using this color a little bit for the design that I have in mind, which will hopefully come out of me at some point. I just need a few more hours in my day so that I can do everything that pops into my head. So I got two of these. They basically go into my collection and will stay there until I am ready to start the design process. And then yesterday was Saturday. I went to my knit group, and of course Litla Prjónabúðin had a new shipment of vivid wool. And the colors, you guys, that came this time were just insane. So I lost it a little bit. And I also think that I was kind of making up for how horrible this week has been. Like, the weather has been awful. Work has been kind of stressful. there have been some issues going on, like with my family and myself, and you know, it's been a tough week. It's getting better. I have a good day planned today, but I think I needed a little bit retail therapy after this week. So I got 5. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna show them all to you. This one is called spýta. Basically means a small piece of wood. So lovely. I need a better camera, I think. Do you have any recommendations for a camera? I have a Mac. I have a MacBook, and I'm using the built-in camera, but I think I need a better one. So if you have any recommendations for a relatively cheap but good camera to use for podcasting, I would love to hear about them. Thank you. Okay, color number 1, spýta. Fingering weight, 100% merino, 400 meters in 100 grams. So that's number 1. This is number 2. I love this section here in the yarn. And this one, it's hiding here. This one, so pretty. Sarka. I don't really know how to translate that to English. It's kind of like sawing something apart. Sarka. Yeah, scraping stuff apart. This one is called root. It's insane. This one is called rekaviður, driftwood. And the last one is straw. Yeah. Good job, Linda. Yay! Yeah, they make me happy. I had a few others picked out, but I was a good girl and I returned them to their packboard, and they are waiting there for new owners. So, yeah, I could have done a lot more damage, but I was trying to be well behaved. Didn't really work, but I mean, 5 skeins. Like a friend of mine that is also in my knit group, she has a daughter, and she was picking out yarns the other day. And she had picked out, I think, 3 ching fibers and 2 some Regia sock yarns and stuff, and she like threw them in her mother's arms, and she was like, "Mom, 5 is not a lot. We can just get all of these." It's not a lot. It's okay. Yeah, so 5 is not a lot according to her. So I'm gonna believe my little friend. Okay. I wanted to talk to you about these magazines. They are called Hugur og hönd. Hugur is your mind, hönd is your hand. So it's a magazine that's been coming out since 1966, but there was no issue. It comes out once a year, but there was no issue in 1998. I don't know why. I did a little research, but they said it's been coming out every year since 1966, except 1998. I don't know why, but I couldn't find any info on it. So I have quite a few of these. I have here, this is the first issue that was ever published. And it's a magazine about, basically about handcrafts. It's about woodwork, it's about quilting, it's about glasswork, it's about knitting and crochet and weaving and embroidery and anything that, basically anything that you can do and make with your hands. So I went through my magazines. Like I said, I have quite a few. I don't have all the issues, but I have a decent pile, and I went through all of them and I put little markers on the pages that I wanted to show you. And I'm gonna start like with the oldest one that I have and work my way forward. So they came out in black and white in the beginning. No, look, they proved me wrong. There are some pages printed in color, but not all of the magazine, because printing in color, I imagine, was super expensive here in Iceland in 1966. It was probably, yeah, insanely expensive. So they have articles and they have photographs about various subjects. It depends. It varies between years what they talk about. This is a photo of the store of Heimilis Iðnaðarfélag Íslands. It's a mouthful, I know. It's published by Íslenskur Heimilis Iðnaður. Heimilis Iðnaðarfélag is basically homely industry association. I don't really know how they translate it. I was gonna look it up. I totally forgot. I'm really sorry, but this is their logo right here. Oh, let me see. I'm gonna do it like this. Íslenskur heimilisiðnaður. Heimili is home, iðnaður is industry, and félag is association. So they have a store, and they have you can attend classes. This association is still working, you know, it's still up and running. My mother used to work for them when she was pregnant with me and when I was a baby. So you can go and you can learn weaving, you can learn knitting, you can learn crochet, you can learn how to make the Icelandic costumes. You can, yeah, they have a lot of classes. Herb dyeing as well, dyeing yarn with plants and flowers. And then they publish this magazine once a year. Oh, look at the sheep. These are the Icelandic sheep. And yeah, we do have more sheep than people here. We have about 40,000 people and a lot more sheep. So I'm gonna find what I was looking for here. Do you remember these? They're like trays, wooden trays. At least when I was growing up, these wooden trays with these bands, like you put the bands on the wall. It's called bakkabönd, and you hang the trays in them. This used to be in every household when I was growing up. I haven't seen them in a long time, but I think they're absolutely beautiful. And this is all done with embroidery. And these here are like the patterns to make this string for your trays, so you can hang them on the wall. And then the one that I wanted to show you was a knitted long shawl. It's basically a white scarf. It's square and it's like really long, and usually they are quite white as well. And they can be extremely beautiful. And this is one of them. This is made out of einband. And yeah, then the pattern is here. It's in the newspaper, in the magazine. There's a pattern for some embroidery. It's here. And yeah, it's really nice. So this is the first magazine that was published ever. I have the 1967 one as well. I didn't find anything in it that kind of jumped out at me that I really wanted to show. There are some beautiful things, but nothing that like interested me really. Then this is 1968, and look at the chessboard on the cover. Interesting. And here is one amazing knitted shawl. Gorgeous. And this here is the pattern. It's not that well printed, so it's kind of hard to read, but I'm sure that if you just maybe copy it in a copier and blow it up a bit, you can definitely knit from it. Yeah, it's really nice. So on we go. 1969. This beautiful embroidery piece on the cover. Also in here there was nothing that really piqued my interest. Here's an article about clothing made out of skin. Like the shoes, they are made out of skin, and this is like a sailor, a seaman, fisherman. So the articles are really interesting, but I am not gonna translate it. They're really long, but they are really nice. And here we have 1970. Here is a jacket for a guy that plays guitar, made out of lopi, Icelandic wool. And on the next page, I just love these. Look. And I love the makeup, the styling, and it just, yeah, I love the 60s, 70s. So pretty. A lot of Twiggy going on there. And yeah, the pattern for the white shawl is on the next page. And it's a bit clearer than the other one that I showed you earlier. So shouldn't be that hard to knit from. And here is this is the back side. This is like an ad for Gefjun lopi, which is not made anymore, but Eastex makes lopi now, so collects it and spins it. And here I found these knitted lampshades. They are made out of einband as well. I really like these. I've seen a few knitted and crocheted lampshades on Ravelry, so there's even a pattern for one of them. And then I had a few flags here, and this one here's like a woven tablecloth. And another knitted shawl as well. And then there was, oh, this beautiful embroidery pattern. I love it. I want to make a pillow. Look at the pillows here. I really want to make one at some point. They're so nice. And the pattern is here. So that shouldn't be that hard to make. I've done a lot of embroidery and cross stitch. I used to do a lot of cross stitch before I started knitting. And here we have 1975. And here I found this crochet blanket. This pattern looks really familiar. I'm sure that I've seen it on Ravelry or something like really, really similar to this one. I like the front cover as well. And then look at this. It's a knitted baby dress for, what do you call it? The blessing that happens. Wow, skírnakjóll. I'm totally lost in translation. I know what it's for. I know the name of it in English. It's just completely slipped my mind. Christening. Oh my god. Okay, a christening dress for babies. It says 3 to 6 months, and the pattern's right here. It's a beautiful one. Absolutely gorgeous. And here are some mittens, tiny little baby socks and a hat, and this is a knitted, it's kind of like a sleeping bag, you know. There's a hood and the sleeves, and then there's a zipper here down the front. Because here in Iceland, and I think in other Nordic countries as well, we pack our babies in a tram, and make sure that they are super warm and comfy, and we take them out for walks, and if they fall asleep, we just leave them outside sleeping. So if you come to Reykjavik and you walk by coffee houses and stuff, even in the middle of winter, you will see sleeping babies in trams outside a lot. And no, they are not abandoned. The parents are usually inside having coffee or hot chocolate, and they usually have like baby monitors, so they can hear immediately if the baby starts crying, or they just sit next to the window so they can hear. So these are quite common and useful for parents of small children. So yeah, so here they provide a pattern for one of those. Okay, next is 1976. This is the cover, and I marked, I think, 2 pages here. Yeah, there was this gorgeous knitted triangular shawl with fringe made of einband, pattern on the other side, and then this is beautiful. This is embroidery, like wool embroidery, and then there's this knitted tablecloth as well. It's also made out of einband. I would definitely use something else for a tablecloth, like mesmerized cotton or something. There's some cute hats here. And yeah, this is the tablecloth. You can also just make it huge and use it as a pie shawl. And the pattern is written here on the next page. Okay. 1977, with this beautiful embroidery piece on the cover. And here we have a few things that I want to show you. Oh yeah, look at this babe. She's wearing a crochet dress. And the pattern, of course, is included on the other side. It's written, there's no, it's not drawn up, it's a written crochet pattern. A sweater. Look at the sunglasses. So cool! It says that it's, the pattern is from the West Fjords of Iceland. And it's knitted out of kampgarn, which is merino wool, but it's imported as we don't have any. Sorry, I'm opening up my water. As we don't have any sheep here that it blew up on me. It's fine. We don't have merino here. We just have the Icelandic sheep that make lopi. So Eastex imports merino and dyes it and sells it as kampgarn, but it's not Icelandic, it's imported, just so you know. Sorry, I'm really thirsty today. Okay, and then there are some knitted vests as well. This one and this one and this one, and then there's this coat as well. Huge. It's made out of þríþættur lopi, which is probably triple plötulopi, like the unspun wool. You can use as many threads as you please and make something super chunky. And this is triple that, which is quite thick. Léttlopi is not double, it's like einband and single ply unspun lopi put together. Double unspun plötulopi is a little bit thicker than léttlopi, a little bit, but some people can get the correct gauge for léttlopi using double plötulopi if they adjust their needle size quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, we all know gauge is super personal and depends on each knitter. And then we have 1978, which is the year that I was born. And this is my favorite cover. I love the colors. They're kind of my colors. So this is the year that I was born, and they don't even mention me. I'm so upset. No, I'm kidding. They have a lot of beautiful stuff in this issue. I love this short sleeve top thing. I really like it. And then there is this tablecloth as well. This is made fíleraður. Okay, I know what that is, and I've seen it done. I don't know the English words for it. This is Sorry, these are the needles that I used. Maybe somebody knows the name of it in English. I don't, I'm sorry. And then there is, let me see, this shawl here. Gorgeous. And this shawl as well, with this cable pattern on the bottom. A knitted skirt as well. And this one. I like this one a lot. Sorry about the glare. But yeah, I really love this one. This one is made out of tvinnað loðband. It's probably loðband. I don't think loðband is the same as einband, or maybe it is. Oh yeah. I think it's knitted in parts, and then you sew it together in the center. That's what it looks like. I haven't read the pattern, so I might be wrong, but yeah, it kind of, like looking at it, skimming over it really quickly, that's what it looks like. And there's this one. You can't really see. It has like a beautiful, like a cobweb kind of pattern in it, made out of einband as well. Mittens with 2 thumbs, because that's practical. There are a lot of articles here about wool and what you can do with it. Both like how to spin it, how to get the best qualities out of it, how you dye it. There's a lot of information about wool in this magazine. A lot. Like almost in every issue there's an article about wool. And then we have 1979, and there you can see this quilt on the front, on the cover. And this is nice. This is how people used to store their yarns. They wrapped it around bones from sheep and stored the wool like this. This I found really interesting. It's like around 1900. Yeah, around 1900 there was a lot of use of human hair for a lot of stuff. For wristwatches, like for the bands here, for necklaces, and it says here they usually used to take the hair, send it to Denmark, and it would be used up there, and things were made out of it in Denmark. This was something that was really fashionable during the Victorian times. So they do an article about hair and what they can make out of it. And this here, it's a picture frame. There are people in there, 1974, and the decorations around are all made with human hair. Interesting. Really interesting. And there's more. There's some necklaces and also another decoration around the photo. I find this really interesting. I remember, if you know Björk, the singer, one of the artists that have worked with Björk, shoplifter, her name is Hrafnhildur. She does a lot of artwork using hair. I will link to her works in the text box below. It's really interesting. She's been living in New York, I think, for a long time. And she's done a lot of artwork for Björk as well, like facial masks and stuff using hair. I think she usually uses fake hair, but yeah, I find it really interesting when people use hair, human hair, but it shouldn't be that mind-blowing because we use hair out of animals. Like, I know people that have tried spinning from their cat's hair or dog hair. So yeah, but yeah, I wonder, yeah, I know of one person that knitted like a cap, a hat out of her own hair. She had really long hair, she cut it and she knitted like a cap out of her own hair. This was my husband's great or great great grandmother, and this hat still exists. It's living in a box somewhere where she grew up or something. Okay, enough about hair. Yeah, I just find it really interesting, and I think it's actually quite beautiful. Quilts. And there's this lady, Aðalbjörg Jónsdóttir. She is really famous here for her insanely elaborate, beautiful, hand-knitted dresses out of einband. This is lace weight, people. Crazy. So beautiful. And Hirna Herburger. You might have seen this on Ravelry. This is like one of the most well-known Icelandic shawls. It's beautiful. I have yet to make one. I really want to make one. I just haven't gotten around to it. So, yeah. Okay, and I have 4 magazines to go. 1980. This looks like dyed linen with some embroidery on the front cover. Handmade rugs. They are actually sewn together. They use nylon that they use to tie together the grass, the hay that they feed to the sheep, and then it's sewn together using different kinds of wool. I love this sweater. I think it's really nice. Of course, made out of lope. Single ply lope, unspun. It's kind of tricky to work with if you haven't worked with it before on its own, because you can pull it apart super easily. But as soon as you work with it and knit with it, it becomes stronger and stronger. The threads kind of like bind to each other and connect, and it becomes really strong. But if you haven't worked with single ply plötulopi, a lot of people just give up. They just don't want to do it. But it's really worth it if you stick it through. Now we are in 1981, and this cover has this beautiful woodwork on the front and a fun ad for lope on the back. And here is an opening about what you can do with your leftover wool, how you can use it. And first they show this pattern here of a sweater, which is striped. Okay, I need to fold this. Sorry. There we go. And it's knitted like this, up and down, up and down. And I guess the sleeves are then sewed together, and it has this belt as well. And then on the other side there are hats and these bags that you can do as well. Look at the ad. Oh, I love how tacky it is. Look at the hair. So good. This is 1982. Let's see what we have here. A shawl and some mittens. And this cardigan I love. I think my friend Anna-Sigga has a really similar one. At least it looks a little bit like hers. I really like it. It's made out of double plötulopi. And then there is this sweater, light cardigan thing. I really like it as well. You can use einband or single ply lope, and they recommend that you use a little bit of gold or silver thread for the ribbing. Styling. Super styling. The cover is this.